All right, let's move on to this next team. This team has a super bright future, and they can go a million different ways this offseason, and it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm going to start with, what do you think this team is? Are they a contender? Are they rebuilding? Or are they in no man's land?
I think you pronounced it wrong, Mitch. It's actually Oklahoma Pick City. With all the picks that they've attained, I think obviously you just kind of like keep trying to get the best house that you can, grow on some young talent, and in a few years that they'd be something. What's your thoughts?
Look, I think they should be a rebuilding team, but they don't have to be like a straight up terrible rebuilding team. They could be like, they could do like a Celtics rebuild, sort of like on the fly. You know, when the Celtics were like, they had a year or two where they were out of the playoffs, but then they were making the playoffs with Isaiah Thomas, but then still getting draft picks and drafting Jason Tatum, drafting Jaylen Brown. So I feel like OKC is in like that kind of mold. So I guess you would call it rebuilding, but it'll be a really, really quick rebuild and a long rebuild. They're going to be good for a long time. I see this team having, once they start getting going, like a 10-year window where they're going to be good. I really like, obviously they've got draft picks.
That's a big window. Jeez.
Yeah. Do you know how many draft picks they've got?
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, I'll read them out right now. Here we go. You got the 2020 Denver pick, first round.
Yeah.
You have the 2021 first rounder for Miami or Houston. They got swap rights.
Yep.
You got the 2022 first round for the Clippers, 23 first round for the Clippers, 23 first round for Miami, 24 for Houston, 24 for the Clippers, 25 for Houston or Clippers. So swap rights again. 26 for Houston, 26 for LA Clippers. All of those are first round picks. That's ridiculous.
100%. And am I right in saying that they're all unprotected, or at least they're swaps?
Most of them, you got a few swap rights.
Yeah.
But
none of them are like.
I think there's a few that are protected 1 to 4. They vary.
Okay. So, but little protection on those picks. Like, what I'm trying to say is that, like, Houston and the Clippers, there is a scenario that after this season, those teams could be awful. You know, like, Kawhi and Paul George have 1-year deals. They can opt out at the end of next season. Houston, who knows what the fuck they're doing. We're going to cover them in a different pod, but that'll be interesting. They could be awful, you know, and those picks are in the future. Like, they're not, you know, all next year. So those could be, you know, the reason I compare them to the Celtics is like the trade that the Celtics made for Brooklyn and all of those picks back when they got rid of Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. That seems like really similar to this team and these picks that they've accumulated to me. It's a swing for the fence.
I think they got Jason Tatum out of that deal. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, they did. Right. One of those picks turns to Jason Tatum. Another pick turned into Jaylen Brown. With their own pick when they were bad, they got Marcus Smart. And think about those 3 pieces. Like, those 3 pieces, you know, Celtics have been in the playoffs for the last 3 or 4 years. And think about how young those pieces are. They're going to be in the playoffs for the next 6 years. There's your 10-year window. Like, and that's what I see going on with, like, this OKC team. You know, they made the playoffs this year, so they could choose to keep Chris Paul and all these other players around, try and get into the playoffs again. I really like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think he's a great young talent, a perfect sort of guard in today's NBA. And we've got our boy Dort on the side as well, another young player.
You're talking about the top defensive player in the league, Lou Dort.
I am. Lou Dort.
We can't glance over that name.
Yeah, exactly. They've got a few guys coming off the books. You know, Gallinari's coming off the books. They're finally going to get rid of Andre Robinson, who's, I don't know how he's managed to stay in the league this long. You know, they've just got, like, they're going to have so much flexibility, especially coming into next year. They could make a huge signing. They'll have, like, coming into the 22 season, they're going to have no cap, like, nothing on their books. Steven Adams will come off their books. Schroeder will come off their books. They're going to have so much room to go out and grab a free agent. And, like, instantly they could be back into title contendership with all these assets coming along. I really like the future that this OKC team has. So I reckon this year you do a Golden State Warriors move. You tank for the year, try and get a high draft pick, and then next year you're straight back into it. That's what I think they should do.
Tank, maybe let's talk about trades. If you're going to tank, should you trade Chris Paul?
I think and I've never been more certain about any other trade happening. Like, I think Chris Paul is 100% getting traded this season. 100%. Okay. I'm more confident with Chris Paul getting traded than any other player in the league. I feel like there's just been so many noise. He's been linked to the Bucks. He's been linked to the Lakers. He doesn't really want to be here. He's done his job in terms of like mentoring these young guys. And I think if the Oklahoma City are going to trade him, it has to be this year. He's 35 years old. Last year, he still had a great season, so you've got to capitalize on that value now. You can't let like another injury come along. You can't let him show his age anymore. So I think, yeah, definitely if you want to trade him, it has to be basically before the season starts. So I think that he'll get traded.
I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree. I think as you touched on, Chris Paul, like, he had one job to do, and he came in, he did his job. His job was to regain some trade value, and that's what he's done.
100%.
Before coming into the season, he was almost untradeable.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like now they can get back an asset for him, so they should just do it, flip the switch.
I mean, look at these salaries. 38 million. He had 38 million this year. He's got a $41 million contract next year, and then a player option for 44 million, which he's no doubt going to take. So you've got to trade him. Yeah, you've got to trade him to a team that's win now mode. Which, you know, there are teams out there that I think will want Chris Paul on their team. Some desperate teams. Like, I think Milwaukee would be perfect for Chris Paul to go to. Like, they're desperate to, you know, like, if they don't win, Giannis is walking, you know? So there's a lot of pressure there. So getting a veteran like Chris Paul would be enormous for them.
I love him on the Bucks as well. I think that's a huge fit. That they lack that late game closer.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Paul's getting a bit old now, but he's still such a smart vet. He can make things happen. And with Giannis, I think that'd be so deadly.
And I think he would just organize that offense a lot better. It's something that's like gotten a bit stale in Milwaukee, so I do like that fit. What do you think that like they're getting back for Chris Paul? Like, are they getting a first round pick back, or like how much value do you think he has? Like, it's a big contract.
It is a big contract. You got to try and get some young assets for it. So I assume there'd be a draft pick thrown in, then the hard thing is just to make the salary work.
Yeah, you got to make the salary match.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where it would be pretty hard. I don't know what kind of contracts the Bucks could throw at the Thunder, and then maybe another target, say Miami Heat. I think he could potentially be a good fit. I don't know what contracts you'd throw in there as well. It'd be hard to do the math to make it work, but you definitely are going to need some draft picks involved. Yeah,
definitely. I don't have the NBA trade machine at my disposal right now, but I'm sure that there's some way that those teams can get that done. There's probably some bad contracts on there that they could maybe attach assets to as well. And I'm sure that OKC, if I'm the OKC, I'd be willing to take on bad contracts that aren't ridiculously too long and accept some more picks and more assets in doing that. Do you think that they sign Gallinari, or do you think that he goes somewhere else? He's probably one of the bigger free agents this offseason.
I think the strategy would be to try and maybe sign trade. Would be the best option for both scenarios, is try and make Gallo happy. Where's you going to move to? Gallo, we'll give you a bit of money and we'll trade you over, kind of thing. I think that makes them that's just a win-win situation. So that should be ideally that's what they go for. But it's up to Gallo. Maybe Gallo wants to dip his toe in the free agency market, see what kind of money you can get.
Yeah, look, I don't really see him coming back to this team. I know they made the playoffs this year. They took the Rockets to 7 games, nearly went to the second round, but I just feel like that's it for this team. Like, they're not going to do much better than that. They've sort of reached their potential, and I think some of these veteran guys are gonna make their way to other teams.
Yeah, and I feel like on top of that, expiring contracts going into this next season. Steven Adams is expiring. He's on a big contract, but now it's expiring. It's tradable. And then also Dennis Schroeder is on 15 mil, which is I think that's very tradable as well, to be honest. There's a lot of teams out there in the playoffs that need a good point guard, maybe a point guard off your bench as well. So he was a top 3 for 6 man of the year. So he's got a bit of respect in the league now. I think he's good. He did really well in the playoffs too, so that's worth mentioning.
Yeah, 100%. If I'm then, I'm cleaning shop. I'm getting rid of Steven Adams, Dennis Schroeder, if I can. I don't know what sort of value you'd get, but I'd be cleaning house for them and doing a really quick rebuild, get salary cap space, and who knows, maybe you sign Giannis next season and you're straight into title contention. Who knows? Let's move on. We've got another couple.
Can I do a quick trade? Would you do this as a Celtics fan?
Yeah, go.
Let's say Gordon Hayward for Steven Adams, maybe a few more things in there as well. Maybe they throw in Schroeder, Steven Adams and Schroeder for Gordon Hayward, something like that.
Nah, as a Celtics fan, I don't do that trade. I don't really rate Steven Adams as like a modern day big. I think Daniel Tice does like a better job than what Steven Adams does on our team. And Schroeder, like it's then like sort of like a Schroeder for Hayward thing. And I'd just rather the bigger body. I think Hayward's had some rough luck. Like he's had some injuries, and during the season he's put up 17 points a game, like, and fairly efficiently too. So I just roll with Gordon Hayward in that scenario and ride out his contract one more year. Nice try, but